Alright, so I've kind of already made it a video that kind of gave you a little bit of information about the packet tracer. You guys have also been using it for a little over a week to do some of your online activities, I hope. Packet tracer is available at Netacad, so if you haven't got it already, then you're way behind. Let's get to netacad.com, get it downloaded so you can start functioning. Now, most of the packet tracers are pre-built, so they already got components dropped on there and they walk you through activities like executing some of the commands. I want you to be able to build out your own environment for testing purposes. So for example, we got this network device section. So when we click on it, you can see down below we have shapes like routers, switches, hubs, also referred to as concentrators, wireless devices, security or WAN manipulation, and then cloud. So we haven't got to routers yet, but this chapter they want us to know how to configure a switch. Alright, so we're going to set up a switch. The other thing that they want you to be able to do is configure an end device, such as a PC or laptop. So I will just go ahead and drag both out here so we can play with both devices. Now, these devices here already have the actual serial ports on them. They're also referred to as RS-232 ports. So we can actually make a connection from the PC over to the switch environment. If we want to be able to connect with a terminal emulation program like PuTTY, then we have to have a network or Ethernet connection as well. Now, you can click on the lightning bolt because this gives us our media that we've learned about in Chapter 1 that we're allowed to use. So Ethernet is also referred to as a straight-through cable. So if you look, if I point down there on the bottom right there, it says copper straight-through. So if I select that, I can click on the PC, and you can see it gives us some options. An Ethernet or straight-through cable is not RS-232. It's definitely not USB because we know we use USB cables to plug to printers and other things. It is a fast Ethernet. So I'm going to select the network card for one end of the cable. Then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to point at my switch. And when I click on the switch, we're going to get another whole host of options. So gigabit is 1,000 megs per second. Fast Ethernet is 100 megs per second. We only have fast Ethernet in that PC, so I can use any of these ports to make a network connection. They all, by default, use something called VLAN 1. So all of these things are the same environment, including the gigabit interfaces. Anything plugs in here, if it's addressed properly, can talk to anything else. So I'm going to click Fast Ethernet 01. Then we're going to go down here and use this straight through again. Now some of you have probably found the lightning bolt, which means it auto chooses the connection. I don't want to do that. I want to click the actual cable so I know what I'm doing. I want to select my network cards, and then I want to plug it into the appropriate ports. You can see because we already used 01 that the next available port is 2. Sounds good to me. Now, switches by default don't have network addresses. You can see that the ports do go live, so a physical connection will come up, but there's no way for me to get to PC 0 using a terminal program into the switch to do the configuration. So the first time, and most every time, I don't use the network, I use a console cable. So that blue cable right here, you're going to select, click the PC device. You can see there's something called RS-232. This is also referred to as a serial cable. I'm going to select that port, RS-232. I've got a blue console cable, just like you saw on the PowerPoint slide. I'm going to click the switch, and you can see there's an actual port on the switch called console. That's where we put console cables. So if I've done that, then I should be able to use a terminal emulation program to connect to the switch. So we're going to click the PC because this is where applications would exist. So this desktop is Cisco's packet tracer version of your operating system, or GUI. Terminal would be a simulation of PuTTY or TerraTerm that you guys can download to your Windows environment for use to make connections to switches. I hope to have the necessary stuff together to where we can get the lab environment, the real world lab environment open over there at USM campus. So if you do want to come in and actually touch the gear this semester, you can, even though this online class is not a mandatory thing, but it will be an option for you to actually touch gear. So again, I hope to have that set up here soon. So when we click on the terminal program, you can see it pops up and asks us for some information. These are the default, normal, correct settings to make a connection with a terminal program to a Cisco piece of equipment. You need to know these things because you'll probably see them on a test. You'll probably see them on a final. So we want to have 9600 bits per second. We want to have our data bit set at 8, which is also a byte. We want to have parity set to none, and we want to have stop bits set to 1. Flow control none. So when we click OK, if we've cabled it up correctly, you're going to see a lot of text. So this is the actual switch starting up. So just like your PC, when you first push the power button, it goes through a post. So this thing does a power up, and it's testing the device. So it's going through and it's saying, hey, this is a Cisco device. It's got a MAC address. Is there an operating system? So there's something called Flash, and Flash contains our iOS, or Internet Network Operating System, on our Cisco devices. So it checks it to see if it's available, initialize it. Again, it's already checked to make sure all your hardware is good. When we pass the post, it's going to go looking for the operating system. If it is in Flash, if it finds it, so it found the operating system, it's a file called C2960 LAN-based MZ1222 blah blah blah. So this is the operating system for a C2960 switch that's being started up. And you'll see it loading because you'll see all these hashtags. So then you'll see the information from Cisco about this is commercial software, it's restricted, Cisco owns it, don't steal it, don't modify it, yada yada. You'll get some more information about the versioning, like 12.2 with patch 25. It'll come down here, it'll show you the processor type. So they're using an RC 32300 proc. We have 24 fast Ethernets, which you saw we just plugged into 2 of those. We have 2 gigabits. So then those interfaces were found by the operating system and brought online. We have 64,000 K bytes of flash, or 64 megs. A MAC address for the switch is 00E0. So when we get it onto the network, you'll see that that's what is represented by the switch device. It pulls serial number, power supply serial number, model revisions. So this is a WS2960-24TT. Again, it's got the serial number. So there's a lot of detail on boot up that you want to pay attention to, because some of this stuff may show up on the quiz. So maybe they ask you, what is the device, or what version of the software is it running? It all is identified at the start. So again, as you scroll down, you can see interfaces come up, and if we press enter, we actually get a user prompt. Alright, I'm gonna stop this video now so that it's small enough for you to view, and then I'm gonna restart and create a new one through the some of the different interfaces that we got to learn.